Happy Resurrection Sunday, everybody. We're going to look at 7 evidences for the resurrection today to show that Jesus really did rise from the dead. Alright, and the first one is the obvious one, and that's the empty tomb. The empty tomb. You can go in to Jesus' tomb, even right now, today in Jerusalem, and find that his body's not there. It's an empty tomb. Now that sings volumes. That speaks volumes, that very fact right there. Well, fact number 2. Joseph of Arimathea was a really well-known person, and he was identified as a person who buried Jesus. Now he was that well-known that he was far too well-known for a fictitious story to succeed about him. Third reason, he was discovered by women. The Bible records he was discovered by women. Now if you're fabricating this, there's no way that you would choose women to be the first people to find that Jesus had risen, because in those days, you know, a woman's testimony didn't even stand up in court. So why would you write that into your story if that was the case? Unless, of course, it was the truth. So that's reason number 3. Reason number 4. You know, if you look around, of all the famous religious leaders who've died, they've all got a shrine. You know, they've all got a place where you can go and see their body, their tomb, enshrined. And people do go there to remember them, but there's no shrine for Jesus because he's risen. You know, but you look at all these religious leaders of all the different religions of the world. They're all dead. You can all go to the grave and see where their bodies are buried. You can't do that with Jesus because he's risen. What about reason number 5? Exhibit E, if you would, for the evidence of the resurrection. And this is a massive one. It's the change in the disciples. The change in the disciples. You know, they went from being fearful and in hiding, scared of being arrested and killed and crucified themselves, to suddenly telling people about God and prepared to risk all. Reason number 6. They proclaimed that Jesus had rose again from the dead in the very city where he'd died and been buried. You know, they didn't go to some obscure part of the country and declare it there where no one could go and check for themselves. No, they could go themselves and check at the Garden Tomb and see that, sure enough, he's not there because he's risen. And reason number 7 is that change that had happened in the disciples that was so great that they went to the deaths. They went to the deaths for the faith. Now, nobody will die for what they know to be a lie. Yeah, think about it. If they had, you know, covered it all up and they hadn't really seen Jesus risen from the dead, then when they were faced with death and execution for believing in Jesus, they would have said, all right, okay, yeah, it didn't really happen, you know, just let me off. Don't kill me, don't crucify me. It was all a lie. But no, every single one of the disciples went to their deaths and were faced with death. Nobody dies for what they know to be a lie. They die because they saw the truth. They saw Jesus, who is the way, the truth, and the life. They saw him before their very eyes. And that realization, that sight of the risen Jesus after his crucifixion, had such a profound effect on them that they realized that if Jesus can rise from the dead, it's all true. Everything that he said was true. He is a Son of God, and they too would rise again from the dead. Now, I do need to talk about fake news right now, because there was a fake news story that was going around at the time, and that's that, well, the high priests were, the Jewish religious leaders were panicking because they're like, well, hang on a minute, what if everybody suddenly believes this and suddenly we've got this new religion, this new branch of Judaism floating around, all because of this? We're going to have to spin this somehow. So the way they spun it was they they paid off the soldiers and said, you know, just say that the disciples stole his body while you were asleep. And that was the story that got circulated at the time. But these, you know, we know that is fake news, because those soldiers would have, if that was the truth, those soldiers would have been executed for allowing the disciples to steal his body, to steal Jesus' body. If Roman soldiers fell asleep on the job and were caught falling asleep on the job, and something like that happened, they would all be executed for negligence. And yet these guys, these soldiers, kept their lives and walked off with a big bag of money under their arms. So that's definitely fake news. So there's 7 evidences for the resurrection. Jesus really did rise again from the dead. And you know what, that brings hope to all of us, because it means that those who love Jesus, you know, death is not the end. It's just the beginning if you love Jesus. Praise God. Happy Resurrection Sunday, and get to know him, who to know is life eternal.